Alright, so let's talk quickly about reverse wrap cordage. I can use vines, I can use spruce root, I can use inner barks for something like the bow drill we talked about, just twisting it to keep it together and not taking the time to do reverse wraps with splices. What I want to show you now is another technique for making natural cordage called a reverse wrap. Normally what I'll use this for is to make a really strong, durable cordage, but not one that's going to see a lot of friction and a lot of movement like you would in a bow drill. This is something I would lash with or construct with, something that once I tie it and put it together, it's going to be fine. To start, I basically want to find the halfway point or so, and I'm going to start a twisting motion. In my dominant hand, I'm going to twist in between my thumb and my first finger, my index finger. I'm going to twist away while I'm pinching with my non-dominant hand. So I'm twisting that away. Once you get it tight enough, it's going to want to kink over like that. You get a little kink there. Once that happens, I'm going to pinch that kink and kind of orient everything up this way. Now I've got a top strand and I've got a bottom strand in relation to each other, and that kink, which is the midway point on that cordage, is pinched. So in my dominant hand, I'm going to twist away from myself, continue in that same direction until it gets tight. Once it gets tight, I'm going to stop, and I want to reach under, still rolling forward just like I just was. Reach under, secure the bottom strand, and flip it up to the top, which is kind of a reverse motion. So I'm twisting one way, grabbing and flipping the other, reversing those strands. So what that does is it twists everything in one direction and puts all the tension in one direction, and when I flip it over and do it to the next strand, they're actually twisting this way and with opposing tension, and it pushes it into each other. So 2 or 3 good twists until it's tight, reach down, flip it, pinch it again. Now the top strand, same thing. Twist it till it's tight, away from me, once, twice, usually about 3 times. Reach down, flip, twisting in the opposite direction. 1, 2, 3, flip. 1, 2, 3, flip. Every time I flip it, I'm bringing my pinch on that middle section further up along the cordage that I'm making so that it doesn't unravel. And once you get the hang of this, you can do it without looking, you can do it while you're walking on the trail, and you can really crank out some really nice cordage rather quickly. I'll show you what it looks like as far as progress goes. Nice tight little reverse wrap. I've got my 2 tails still going. I'm going to pinch right there where they come together. Now I've got my top strand and my bottom strand. With my dominant hand, I'm twisting away until it becomes tight. Then I hold that tension and I reach under, grab the bottom strand, and flip the opposite way. Then I choke up on that pinch to keep it from going anywhere, and then switch. 1, 2, 3, and that's going outward, away from my body. I reach down and grab the bottom strand, and then I flip it towards my body. Twist, flip, pinch. Twist, flip, pinch. And as I was saying before, you can get to where you're extremely fast at this, and you can really crank it out. Twist, flip, pinch. Twist, flip, pinch. Twist, flip, pinch. And you can really crank out some nice cordage rather quickly. I'm going to run this all the way down towards the end because I want to show you a couple different techniques to splice so that you can make this cordage as long as you want. And this dog bane is extremely long to begin with. A lot of materials that you end up using are not quite this long, so you have to splice a lot more, but the longer the better, because that's less splices, and you're maintaining the integrity of those plant fibers rather than introducing a splice that's keeping them together. And a splice sometimes can be one of the weak points in your cordage. I can also use nettle for this. I can use yucca for this. I can use the inner bark from tulip poplar, a basswood, cottonwood. I can use hickory inner bark. There's a lot of natural cordages that I can use to do this. The key thing is keep equal tension set it once in a while, you can see how nice that's coming out. Nice and uniform. Like it was made by a machine. If you've got thin spots and fat spots, especially when you start splicing, that's when you're going to run into strength issues, because the tension that you put on it is not going to be equal across the entire length of the cordage. And a lot of times it'll break at those spots. So take a little time, make sure you're good. The other good thing about yucca and dogbane being these long fibers is you can make your cordage extremely thin and it's still extremely strong. You're not going to break that. Another name for dogbane is Indian hemp, which I'm not sure that's politically correct, but that is another name for it. So there's two different ways to splice, and really you can set it up on purpose if you have a preference, but really I end up doing whichever way my tails end up coming out. If my tails come out evenly, I'll do a middle splice, and if my tails come out not even, then I'll go ahead and do a odd splice. Sometimes I've got them even and one of the sides will break, and I'm forced to switch my original plan, which is fine. So that's the reason I want to show you both techniques. But really it comes down to, are your ends still even or are they not? So we're getting pretty thin there, and both of these tails are reasonably even. So what I'm going to show you first is just a simple middle splice. My ends are fairly even. So I'm going to bring my next piece of cordage, or my next piece of fiber in that I'm planning on using, and I'm just going to put that right up into the center, and I'm going to twist those together, and I'm just going to incorporate that into what I was already doing. And continue on. And eventually that's all just going to twist together as if it was from the same plant. As you can see, that was the end, now it's part of it, and I've got enough material to continue on. So let's say that when I finished or started to run out of material, and you want to start your splice when you've got still quite a bit of material left, but you can see how these are offset now. What I can do is take a little bit more cordage material, more fiber, and I want to, because I'm about to run out of cordage about to run out of material on this side, I'm just going to take this, I'm going to bring my splice slightly higher than where that ends, and I'm just going to start integrating that into there. And then nothing changes. Twist, flip, pinch, twist, flip, pinch. And I've got that quite a bit longer and offset. When this starts getting short, I'll take another piece and I'll integrate it. This is where it ends, so I'll go a little bit higher than that, and then I'll twist that together with that one. And now I've got extremely long amounts of material to work with on both sides. So that's an offset or alternate splice that you can use as opposed to the middle slice. And I'm going to integrate those in real quick, and then I want to show you one last thing on that and then finish out this cordage. So when I get the alternating splice, because it didn't go directly in the center, and I started those a little higher than I needed to on the strand to start integrating them, you're going to be left with a little bit that sticks out up here where those were integrated and began. You don't have to worry about that so much. It doesn't damage the integrity, because this basically shows where you started working that in, reverse wrapping that in. You can just take and trim those ends off, or even burn it off of a finished rope, and it's not going to hurt anything. Just taking those off and give you a nice clean rope. I guess I shouldn't say rope, it's technically just cordage. Every once in a while I like to pull tension on it like that and set the fibers within that reverse wrap. I just want to kind of take the air out a little bit, make them fit nice and tight. Make sure all the lays are laying next to each other nicely. On average, once you get quick at this, you can probably make 3 feet of cordage in about 10 minutes or so. Some people are faster, some people are slower, it's okay. The main thing is to make good cordage, uniform cordage that's nice and strong with good splices. Once you learn to make this cordage, you'll be able to make cordage out of any natural fiber, any material. I've seen people make it out of, you know, their hair, blades of grass, pine needles. I've seen people make it out of toilet paper. When nature calls and you're bored and all you got is toilet paper, then you can twist some cordage up. As far as primitive skills go, making natural cordage is probably the start. Should be the start for everyone. It's kind of a gateway into the other ones. It's one of the most simple to teach, one of the most simple to learn. And I think it really gives you appreciation for what is possible and what you can do if you have the skills and the experience with just what nature provides you. I mean, cordage is such a huge thing. It's used for so many things. You saw us, we just use it for fire. Obviously you can use it for shelter. There's just so many things that you need cordage for when you're out in the wild, that being able to make it from natural materials is just a huge deal. You can see how long that's getting, and it's extremely strong. But that's it. I'm going to finish this out, and I hope that you learned something, and the key takeaway is understanding that your dominant hand goes away as you're twisting the top strand. You reach under and reverse flip the bottom strand with the top strand, pinch. Always keep that pinch up here so that you don't lose it, and then you start over. Twist away from yourself, flip towards yourself, twist, flip, pinch, twist, flip, pinch. Once I get to the length I want and I run out of material here, all I've got to do to finish it off is just put a simple overhand in the end, keep it from unraveling. There you go. That's probably, I don't know, 3.5 feet of cordage. Took me probably 20-25 minutes to make. 2 or 3 splices in there, 2 different types of splices, and they're both pretty strong. So that's good natural cordage. Roll that up and I'll use that most likely for a fishing leader. There you have it, reverse wrap cordage. Simple, easy. Just takes a little bit of time, a little bit of practice, and the more you practice, the faster you'll get at it. So I'll see you on the next video.